Thank you, Chair of the Forum, Bula Vinaka, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm also the Minister responsible for anti-corruption, so I have the habit of opening up gifts and telling people what I've received. So I've received 2 cufflinks, so you know where the CTO money is going to. But thank you very much for that. It's very generous. Thank you. The Chair of the Forum, the Secretary General, of course, the CTO representative in the Pacific, Ms. Purcell, the Ms. Stella, representing the good professor, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. When you have very esteemed speakers before you, you don't really have to say that much. I think we've had a very good summary of what the past 3 days actually entailed. It is, of course, very critical for us to be able to learn from each other, and I see all of these forums, and previously when we used to attend many of these forums, in particular in post the liberalization of the telecom sector in Fiji, the attendance at such forums was very, very beneficial for us. To attend forums where you have jurisdictions such as India that has about 10 million mobile phone connections a month at one stage, when you have the entire Southern Pacific population is not even 10 million, or close to 10 million, to talking to our counterparts in countries in the African continent, where you have landlocked countries, where economies of scale are similar to yours or completely disproportionate to yours from the Caribbean and in Asia and various other parts. It is a very, very good learning experience. And also it does help you provide food for thought in terms of taking your specific country's next step and how best do you do it. One of the things that we have learned, of course, is there is no need to reinvent the wheel. It is always good to be able to tap into the resources available by ITU, CTO, and also the individual countries. And sometimes, laws, of course, are tweaked to specifically address the issues pertaining to the individual countries, and that's how we can also be able to, tap into that. Of course, in Fiji's case, for example, we do have universal access funds, where we do take a percentage out of the license fees based on the gross turnover of individual companies. But one of the things that we did do was, which we are quite proud of, we started charging a small levy on incoming international phone calls into Fiji. I think it was something like 1 or 2 cents through the Commerce Commission. And as a result of that, we had a very healthy trust fund that developed. And we used those trust fund monies to set up what we call government telecenters throughout Fiji. So we have very low penetration rate in terms of internet connectivity. So we went to many rural schools, some community centers, but predominantly schools, on the basis that we will give them free computers, free webcams, scanners, internet connection, and we'll continue to pay for that. And in some schools, it was they even wanted security guards, so they look after the properties for them. And the condition in which we gave it to them was that the school students use it during school hours, but after school hours, they must allow everybody living in that area, outsiders, adults, to come and use that after hours and open it up till 6 or 7 in the evening, some places a bit longer. As a result of that, we suddenly had something like 70,000 Fijians that got connectivity to internet without actually having the internet in their homes in the first place. So, we had suddenly farmers who were getting access. There are many people, of course, in particular those of a particular age bracket, who had never before used a computer. But they loved the fact that they could make a free phone call on Skype to their relatives in Australia and New Zealand, or the west coast of North America. So that got them introduced to technology also, whilst giving them access to the internet. So there's a number of initiatives, of course, we have picked up from other countries which we have learnt, and we're quite keen to be able to partner with more countries. As we're saying, at a sort of political level, at a service level, in Fiji, when we had the 3 companies, Telecom, Fintel, and Vodafone, having monopoly in mobile phone connectivity, landline connectivity, and international connections, the cost of doing business was more expensive. Following the liberalization of the telecom sector, the cost of course, phone calls, of text messaging, the range of services now available is quite phenomenal compared to only what it was only about 5 years ago. But the point is this, ladies and gentlemen, that those young people who now have access to smartphones and those types of telecommunications today do not know what happened 5 years ago. Their expectations are, how are you going to change what you have now? They don't know what actually we came from. And frankly, they don't care. They really don't care. So it is always our job, in particular in this sector, to continuously improve ourselves, continuously improve our services, continuously improve security, for example, access to maintaining privacy, protecting trade, commerce, investment. And in particular for jurisdictions such as Fiji, and I'm sure with the rest of the Pacific Island countries, and generally throughout the developing world, our ability to meet international standards is very critical, because it does then create or open a door to the outside world. It gives people a particular level of confidence they would not have otherwise have if you do not have adherence to international standards. So I think through such forums we're able to perhaps know and find out what exactly is happening. It was very interesting. Lastly, before I'd like to thank a number of people, but this conference started off soon after we had last week the Alliance for Financial Inclusion, that, as I mentioned in the opening, we had something like over 500 delegates that attended it. And of course, in order to bring people into the financial fold, ICT was very, very critical. This morning I was down the coast where they had the Pacific Islands Taxation Administrators Gathering. And again over there, they talked about the issue about having ICT as being readily available. And again, what was also critical was the need to be able for all of us to work together. And those of us who have a lot of similarities, in particular in terms of getting the challenges that we meet, whether it's climate change, whether it's economies of scale, whether it's lack of resources that you have in your country or expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, we're quite glad, as the Secretary General talked about, in hosting the telecommunications ministers from the Pacific. We recently did that with the finance ministers and also civil aviation ministers, and we look forward to that. And we look forward to the ministers who are here to also tell their counterparts in other countries that we'd like to have that meeting very, very soon. I'd like to thank the Secretary General, and he was very correct in terms of our communication was first on the mobile phone, and I'd like to thank him. I know at times I've been very difficult to get hold of, but always know that we are here and we do respond. But thank you once again. I'd like to thank his staff, in particular, Lasanta, Marcel, Robert, of course, and Hilda, for your contribution. I have not met all of you, but I know you've been all behind the scenes working, and thank you for your contribution. I'd like to also publicly acknowledge our Director for Communications, Shivnesh, who's at the back somewhere. Oh, here. Please put your hands together for Shivnesh, and also Tupo, who's at the back there, and the Solicitor General is also the Acting Permanent Secretary for Communications. Thank you very much for your contributions, ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you tonight how to say goodbye. And I've already told Stella quite privately how to say goodbye, but the point is that if you only know how to say bula, you actually, when you leave, you don't actually leave. We don't really want you to leave. We want you to come back. With those few words, I'd like to give a small token of our appreciation to the people on the stage. If I could ask the chair of the forum first up, please, if you could come up, and we'd like to give you a small gift. It is actually a traditional war club. But this war club actually symbolizes how we're going to conquer all the challenges in the ICT sector, as opposed to us trying to use it on each other. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your participation. I hope you have enjoyed your stay so far. I hope some of you will get the opportunity of spending a few more days and get to enjoy the famous world Fijian hospitality. We have got dinner tonight. Please dress down as much as possible. It's going to be very informal, but we look forward to seeing you tonight. And I wish you a good afternoon. Thank you.